What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go over my FUTMAS promo suggestions. Who do I think is likely to be used and why? So just before we get into the video, as always, feel free to like the video and comment who you think should feature in the squad. And suggest ways in which EA should or could possibly reward the Ultimate Team players. Whether it be free packs or different ways of unlocking cards through objectives maybe. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe with your notifications on to never miss out on my videos when they go live. And now with that out of the way, let's get on with the players. As EA have used this promo for the last few years now, there's no doubt in my mind that EA will be releasing this sometime soon. So first up, we'll start with the bench I've put together. Here there's Pope, Khedira, Howardez, Martinez and Da Costa. Now with these players, I've wanted to pick relatively established players that I thought might not get any special cards this year, while still making them pretty desirable cards with pretty nice upgrades. There isn't much to say about why I've actually specifically decided on these players, so instead of constantly trying to think of reasons, I'll just brief you guys on what I think this festive promo will have to offer for us players. From past experience, we'll likely be looking at an 18 or 23 man squad that has the FUTMAS design obviously, and pretty nice upgrades to complement it. If they don't release a full squad, we could be looking at 2 teams being released over a 2-week span. We've seen this before this year already with Ultimate Scream, for example. Again, I have no doubt that they will release objective cards as well as squad builder cards obviously to try and empty out our squads for coins, that is. I would say try and avoid doing these SBCs just because a lot of the time they are pretty costly. And let's be honest, they are just doing it to get rid of the players in our clubs and maybe our liquid coins. But saying that, I have already completed about 6 or 7 player SBCs throughout this year already. And I only have like 2 or 3 in my team. Anyways, I'll move on to the starting team in my suggestions, where I went with Wolverhampton's shotstopper, Rui Patricio. For a similar reason to the rest, I imagine that this card will most likely be an SBC, if anything. And a cheap one at that, so I reckon that he will get used, especially seeing as he's in a good league and he's got a pretty decent nation. One thing I have noticed about SBC players is the fact that really no matter how average the cards might seem, EA will just bump up the cost, often double at times, all because they're part of the Premier League. And it's specifically the Premier League as well, I don't really notice this with other ones. It's one of the main reasons why I hate voting for Premier League players when it comes to them releasing a poll or whatever. Anyways, onto the set of defenders I've chosen, as per. I put together Grimaldo, who could have a very nice card, though he does tend to get special cards throughout the year, so I imagine maybe he won't be chosen. It would be a very usable card as well though, seeing as he's in a good nation, and to be honest, I feel like the Portuguese league is a little bit overlooked. I for one really like using Acuna and Bruno Fernandes. Them two together in a very nice link in the left side of my team. Anyways, with him I have Socrates, a guy I included in the squad almost in pity. In truth, I don't think he actually will be getting an inform or anything all season at this rate. And I know that in FIFA he already does have a pretty decent base card, so it would be a pretty nice card if it was to materialise. Possibly beside the next player being Sidibe, reason being that every year we're very short of good French right backs. I'm Brazilian, but I mean at least back then we had like Dani Alves per se. Last year was an anomaly however, because obviously Kenny Lala had a wonder season. Poor guy. I swear he's like somehow still a non-rare gold this year. Anyways, quite like Grimaldo, the good form in real life is there, so maybe I reckon EA won't actually give him his card, and maybe they'll wait until maybe he deserves an inform or something. Because I know that when Everton played Liverpool, he was one of the star players, and even though ultimately the scoreline was a thrashing, he did play pretty well. In terms of objective players, as I briefly mentioned earlier, I would like to see much easier challenges. There's nothing worse than a win condition in a rivals match. It undeniably ruins the fun, and it also interrupts the flow of, you know, FUT champs, FUT rivals rather. As players who are desperate to get the cards will pretty much do anything possible to actually get them. Even I have demoted myself, quite like many other FIFA players, just to be able to get the challenge done as stressless as possible. But I don't advise doing that. Ultimately, players just shouldn't have to suffer. I understand the grind, but even if it's just for Christmas, you know, just do us a favour and make the challenges a little bit easier, or at least more fun. You know, for example, make the challenges in friendlies, or at least some of them, or just not make it a win condition. I actually suggested maybe we should do a challenge for Mystery Ball. That'd be great, and that would actually get people playing friendlies more. And to be honest, I don't see why they won't want us playing the game. A lot of people have given up with the game already, so give them a reason to come back. The four midfielders that I actually settled with happened to be Daley Blind of Ajax and Kai Havertz, as two players who also happen to have informed themselves, though I wanted to include them because I think Blind could really do with a solid pace upgrade. And this is one of the only promos where I think rating boosts are actually, they don't make much sense, they're not really thought through as such. And they could easily, or gladly, give him a decent pace upgrade. And Havertz was insane last year, especially once he received that Future Stars card. And I think it would be a very nice upgrade if he was to get the FUTMAS card. Last year they brought out like a Bailey or something, and he had like perfect pace, and he had decent shooting upgrades. Players like that we would like to see. For me, if Havertz got in this team, people would actually be quite excited for it. And I know they took off his 5-star weak foot, which is always a bit sad, but it is what it is. The next two players are Yannick Carrasco in the Chinese Super League now, sadly, and Jadon Sancho of Dortmund. Now, I have actually spoke about Sancho in my last video, so I won't get into it too much. Though, to be fair, last week's predictions, they weren't actually that bad, were they? Sure, I didn't get as many players right as I usually do, but I feel like I got all the big names right, and that's kind of what matters more. You know, for example, Royce and Mane, even Varane. I'll quickly reason as to why I chose Carrasco, who simply for me just isn't really spoke about often, or if at all, anymore. Back at Atletico Madrid, he was like a widely mentioned footballer, and especially when he was playing for Belgium in the World Cup, that campaign actually helped his career quite a lot. However, I think moving to the Chinese Super League wouldn't have actually helped his career in terms of being a prospect and maybe staying relevant. But at least let's be honest, he has probably just gone there for money, which I guess I can't really argue with at the end of the day. It is a job. You gotta do what you gotta do. Gotta secure the bag, as some would say. Anyways, I have actually noticed how much EA are enjoying giving Chinese League players special cards, so why not add to the lot, right? Also, I think I speak for everyone when I say we just want free packs. Who am I kidding? It's EA Sports we're talking about. Very rarely do they actually think for the community's sake. For the final set of players, I had to go with the classic FIFA beast that is Gervinho. Yes, fun fact, he is actually still in FIFA. And then alongside him we'll have a position change, Christian Pulisic please, and why not just throw in a Kevin Volland in there, you know, as a wishful perfect link to Havertz, maybe if they both get into the team. Gervinho, we'll go back to him, has actually been a very heavily used player throughout FIFA history, so I'd see no reason in trying to carry that on. Volland is less exciting, because let's be honest, slow strikers, even if they have like the strength, and the shooting, they're never normally the ideal player for FIFA 20. Though it would be a pretty nice alternative, you know, as a German or Bundesliga striker. I, for one, don't really like Lewandowski's normal card this year. I have used it. I mean, granted it was actually in a draft, but ultimately, you want the players to be faster, maybe a bit smaller. I do feel like Volland would be a decent alternative. I know you've got like Scream Muller, but he's just ridiculously expensive, or at least was the last time I checked. And then right next to him, as I've already mentioned, Christian Pulisic. And yes, I did mean to put him as a striker, only because the other week in like the dying minutes of a game, Pulisic was actually being played at striker, which was quite interesting. I never really imagined that happening. Plus, he'd likely get a pretty nice shooting boost, so who's really going to complain about that? Anyways, that is my FUTMAS suggestions, or predictions, however you want to put it. Make sure to actually comment any players you think I should have added to this team, and yeah, I guess I'll see you in my next video. Peace.